Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Welcome to it, Roadshow Friday here with Hail Varsity Radio at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate. Chris Schmidt, and to my right, standout offensive lineman, our favorite sideline man, and NFLer Jeremiah Sirles sitting in today. I'm not going to lie to you. I have a shock collar on him. He cannot go anywhere. Our dear friend Elijah Herbal back at our ESPN studios. We have gear. We have old school King of Beer Budweiser or Bud hats. If you're watching us on the live stream, ESPN Lincoln Facebook. I have koozies. I have ESPN T-shirts. That is a bang.
It's not beer.
It's not beer yet. Northwestern has just arrived. They pulled up in their buses. They are blocking the ESPN Hail Varsity sign. I am sad about that. But you saw your buddy Fitz, man. You got recruited by him.
Yeah, I sat in Fitz's office as maybe even a 16-year-old when I got recruited out there. Took an unofficial visit out to Northwestern when my cousin or son was getting married out there, and went and visited. And then I remember the next year when they actually sent me an offer, they then asked me, what was your ACT score? It's a 21. They're like, you ever thought about retaking that? I was like, no. They're like, we wish you the best of luck, sir. Have a great athletic career somewhere else, wherever you go.
I feel I got a 21.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty. They said I needed like a 26 to get in. I was like, that ain't happening.
No.
Nope.
I know a guy who got, because what, Perfect's 36?
Yes.
And our dear friend John Baylor makes that happen. Shameless shout out to JB. But like I got a couple people that got 34s, all right? I beat my wife in the ACT, SAT race.
Careful with your words there.
What?
Careful with your words.
No, Elijah.
I was going to say it. I was going to say it if Elijah did. I beat my wife in ACT, but only the ACT, SAT.
No. And if we're all smart folks, my wife's kind of a BA. We know that.
Oh, yeah. My wife terrifies me.
Yeah.
My wife would whoop my behind.
The bunny is undefeated. We'll just say that. Elijah, jump on camera here, man. You did well academically and athletically. You're a scholar. But what did you do ACT-wise, SAT-wise?
I got a 34.
Okay, see, I told you I knew somebody
Did you really?
Yeah.
No wonder you're wearing a sweater vest.
And a tie.
And a tie. You got your inner PJ Fleck going here. You got your inner row the boat rocking and rolling on here right now.
No creepy stash, and he has hair. He's okay.
For now.
Yeah, no, numbers to get in.
I kind of like the ACT, though. Like, my fantasy football league was going to make that a punishment. Like, you have to go to one of the high schools and sign up for the ACT and go take it with the high schoolers.
I like that.
It's a good punishment.
Better than the old tattoo league.
But I was like, man, I could go get my score even higher. Like, I got my college education now. That means I must be smarter, right? So,
dude,
maybe
I love that. That's a great punishment for fantasy football.
It is Northwestern week. Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal. Numbers to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, at Sirles71_HSKR, and Elijah Herbal at Herbal Essence. So we have goodies for you. We have lottery tickets, I believe, for you. Not Powerball, but other things you can win by scratching off. And we are here till 6. They have amazing steak. They have amazing chops. They have fantastic appetizers. Sirles, they have 250 whiskeys.
I like whiskey.
Exactly.
I could drink. I mean, I can't drink 250 because that'd be poor for everyone involved. But I mean, I could try at least.
You turn into the Incredible Hulk and just start.
Yeah, I just go knock on Northwestern rooms and see what they were doing.
we may fund that. You didn't want me because I was not going to retake the SAT, so I'm going to do this all night, every night, as payback, right?
Fair enough.
I'm just going to go wandering the halls. But no, big ball game today for tomorrow for Nebraska as they try to crawl back to 500. And Northwestern's at 2-2 right now. The Power 5 teams they've faced, they've been destroyed. They beat the Fighting Larry Birds and somebody else. It's escaping me. But point is Fitzy and company are kind of in that rebuild year.
Yep.
They've had years where they've carried over and transitioned, and 2 of the last 4 West Division crowns, they hang in that amazing practice facility on Lake Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, here's what Northwestern does, and it's what they do. They go 5 wins, 7 wins, 9 wins, 9 wins, and then start all back over.
And that's Big Ten, too.
And that's Big Ten, too. But, I mean, especially, we just joked about it, but they're very limited in what they can recruit. I mean, they can't just go offer every Tom, Dick, and Harry wherever they want to go and like, hey, you can play ball, come here. You have to pass. You have to get accepted into Northwestern before they allow you to come in and get the athletic scholarship. So, I mean, what Fitz has done there over the last decade and he's been there probably 15 years now.
Since 06.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there for a long time. What he's accomplished is nothing short of, miraculous, which is why I have a ton of respect for him as a head ball coach, a ton of respect for what he can do. And I think he's a really good leader of men, too.
That is Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt, Elijah Herbal Roadshow Friday here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate. You're invited out. You want to swing the clubs. They've got the Top Golf Simulator Suites just off beyond where we're at. They've got an amazing bar behind us. You see this wood door. If you're watching us on ESPN, link in Facebook, is the Whiskey Vault.
Oh.
It is locked.
No, it's not.
It's not?
It's not.
Sirles.
I might. We'll go to commercial in a little bit.
Yeah, Sirles is like, is for segment 1 done. Listen, let's talk offensive line. We got to go there.
Yep.
Northwestern lost 2 first-round picks, so they've been kind of a mess, putting it nicely at quarterback. They've started 3 and 4 games. Hull is their running back, the redheaded demon, who had a decent ball game last year against Nebraska. Nebraska seems to be settling in just a touch. Anyway, at running back, at least Ramir Johnson's good.
Yep.
But we get to the offensive line and some topics we're going to hit on here: nastiness and confidence and experience. And Sirles, what's the word to the linemen? What gauge do you take from them? What are they? Just the room in general, from Coach Austin on down to the kids, because they've been a topic of conversation the last 3 weeks.
The biggest thing that I've had to remind myself of over the last couple of weeks is the fact that this is a really young group. And even though you look at guys like, okay, Bryce Benhart, people are like, he started 8 games last year. Yeah, in front of nobody, in front of no fans, no hostile environment, nothing. It's like, okay, well, Turner Corcoran, he played really well in 1 game against Rutgers. Like, okay, Mitch Schichterman, he's never started a Big Ten football game before until this year. And you look over at the left guard, you've rotated Hickson, you've rotated Piper, you've seen Banks in there, you've seen Bando in there. I mean, you've seen all these guys, but if you really look at quote-unquote experience, Cam Jurgens your only guy. And that's really hard to do. And I think for whatever reason, and I found myself getting caught up in a little bit during this year too, is like, our offensive line could be really good this year, could be even better than last year. But then you stop thinking, it's like, man, we put 2 dudes in the NFL that both made rosters. 2 of them got drafted. That's not an easy thing to just plug guys back in, of guys that have been starting for 4 years, 3-4 years, and just think we're going to pick right back up where we left off. So I've given them a lot of grace. That being said, they need to just play better. I mean, so if you top out everything I just said, you put 2 dudes in the NFL, that means the coaching's there. If you got guys that go to the NFL, they're not being poorly coached. I think that these dudes just need to play better. I mean, Benhart had a really, really bad game last week. Turner's had really, really bad moments. Piper's had bad moments. And when you say, okay, well, each guy's taking their turn, that's just bad offensive line play, because unless all 5 are operating on a super high level, you just don't get good offensive line play. And we just really struggled the last 2 weeks. I mean, we did okay against Oklahoma. I mean, he's been sacked, 12 times in the last 2 games?
12 sacks, 18 for the year. And we're talking 7 false start penalties. And you mentioned with...
If we jump off sides this week, you're going to see me running across the middle of the field just at home, just losing my mind.
Are you gonna go, you yourself physically go remove the offending party?
I'm going to physically assault somebody in front of 90,000 people.
And it's going to be you can still hang, can't you, with the lineman? You've been retired.
No, yeah, I've been great. PJ Mangieri just walked by. Long snapper nice. Here when I played, so I'll have to say hi to him. But yeah, I mean, I could hang for. I think adrenaline could get me through at least.
Because you just hit 30.
Yes, I think adrenaline could get me through a couple quarters, but eventually the 285 mark would take its toll.
Okay.
And the knees just, I don't lift very heavy on the legs anymore.
That's
Upper body,
fine.
could hang out with the guys, but I just get ran over.
Now you don't think your NFL experience could like get you just some like veteran tricks you could pull on these college kids?
Oh, absolutely, but eventually their legs are going to wear out, man.
Conditioning we're
eventually the
getting
conditioning and the Peloton can only do so much. The Peloton can only help me with so
Are
much.
your knees like 90-year-old man knees?
Oh, yeah. I got no cartilage. I've had 3 surgeries on this left knee. I have bone on bone. And, I mean, I went elk hunting, and I'd rather walk up the mountain twice than have to walk down once because my knees are just so bad. But that's why these dudes are young. They have no excuse. Just go out there and run over people, dude. That's all I want to see tomorrow.
It's physical ball play.
Physical ball play, especially against a Northwestern team that, they don't have any werewolves coming off the edge. They don't have any guys that scare me as I look at this team and go, man, that's a star. X around that guy, game wrecker on the defensive line. Or even Patty Fisher last year as a linebacker, right? You're like, you got to put a hat on that guy. Northwestern doesn't have that. This is the perfect game for Nebraska just to come out, no fear of failure up front, run off the football, and just physically dominate this team.
Okay, we've talked nastiness, easier said than done. You've got to be playing well to have nastiness. Otherwise, it's just false, right?
Right. Well, I mean, the other thing, too, and I think we talked about this last night, but we can't just rely on our offensive line, and I say we, I mean a coaching staff, and say, hey, okay, we call X play, right? And we look at it from the top, and Lubick and Fropp's like, man, this play isn't great into this look, right? It's like, oh, man, this was supposed to be against a 3-4 or 4-3, whatever. But we can rely on our offensive line to move the double teams, move the D-line into linebackers, we'll get 3. We have to scheme all our positive runs right now, and that's got to change. You've got to be able to rely on your offensive line to get you 2 or 3, even if it's not a great situation, which is why you've had to see us go to the option a little bit, go to the wide zone, get something on the edge, because in the middle we've just kind of run into a wall the last couple weeks, really the whole season.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't think it's a lack of talent. I think these kids are good enough to be road graders. But with what they're doing on offense, it is – you tell me, man. You're the football guy. Same with you, Elijah. You both played. Is it a situation where you just – it doesn't seem to me like they're just firing off. They're not – they're. I mean, yes, you're trying to move the line of scrimmage, but – It's more of a get in the way versus let's bury somebody. Fair or no?
I think that's a fair assessment. And I think a lot of that comes with the fact that we have to scheme so much that it's almost to the point of like, okay, I got to make sure I get my hat to this side so I cut this guy off and cut the angle versus like, screw it, dent the downs. Just dent them. Put them 3 yards backwards. Just run off the football. Let the rest take care of itself. And that's what I want to see from them tomorrow is just the don't think. When you think, you play slow. And a lot of times the thinking comes because you're like, okay, it's this play versus this defense. Oh, maybe that's not the right defense. Okay, then I have to get to this guy. And boom, 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 your mind and your body just forgets just to run.
Analysis paralysis.
Just to run, right? Exactly. And so for me, if I'm Coach Frost and I'm those guys, I'm just dialing up runs tomorrow that are track schemes, track zone, where it's like, hey, we're running inside zone left. Drop your left foot, open your left foot, and run on your track, and someone's going to show up and just hit a purple jersey, hit a white jersey, and we'll make something happen from then. And that's a good starting point, especially if, like Scott talked about on Monday at his press conference, if there is some new guys in there, if there is some guys that don't have a ton of experience, make it simple for them to just use physicalness and not have to think.
Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate. You're invited down. We're here till 6, Nebraska Northwestern. Vic has chimed in from Denver, and he'd like to know what Sirles thinks about you sit down for a series if there's a false start.
Yes.
Benching.
Get him out. It's either coached or allowed. And you saw it
That's a sign that's up in every coach's office.
I mean, you saw it last week when Hickson jumped off sides, they put Banks in. Right? At one point, you can only coach it so much. You can only talk about it so much. At one point, the players just have to execute it. And Scott talked about it in his press conference after the game. Like, I can't take a rep for these guys. It has to mean something to them because when you jump off sides, it's nothing more than a lack of focus. And that's it. There's no other excuse than just you lost focus on the snap count. But why'd you lose focus on the snap count? Is because you weren't prepared enough during the week to know what you're doing on every assignment so that you're worried about your assignment, you're worried about the guy in front of you, you're worried about a million different other things instead of focusing on the one thing that matters, and that means wait for the quarterback to say, go. I mean, there's just so many things for me that stuff's unacceptable because they work it. Coach Austin's addressed it. Frost has addressed it. Like, you can only address it so many times. It's got to matter to you on a personal level for you not to be able to do that.
You know a Northwestern guy?
That's P.J. Mangieri's dad. His dad, his brother's a tight end for them.
Okay, so the Mangieri family is split tomorrow.
They are. His dad's in full Northwestern gear. I get it. But I did see PJ's full Nebraska gear.
Which is good.
That is good.
That's nice.
Good.
Now,
his wife was here, too. She ran track.
It takes a special dude to rock purple, effectively.
It does.
And I can't. I can't wear purple.
Oh, it's just doesn't.
I look like Grimace.
It doesn't go good with my eyes.
No.
It just doesn't match the hazel eyes and the light lavender purple's not good.
250 whiskeys to choose from here at the Single Barrel. You will fall in love with their bone-in New York strip. I invite you to try it. Come on down here to the Single Barrel Road Show Friday with Hail Varsity. We have Jeremiah Sirles, standout Husker and longtime NFLer. He is here till 6 with us. Elijah Herbal in hour 2. The pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman, going to be with us. Get his take and prediction on Nebraska and Northwestern. Clauseborne will be in with his forecast. Plenty more to get into on the offensive line. What does a starting 5 look like? We don't know. We'll know before kickoff tomorrow. We can project and we can kind of get into some of the names that you know or have heard about. Where is Nebraska at, and is this thing tight or is it a get right? We'll continue on. More time down here at the Single Barrel Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
And we're back.
Fellas, think we could listen to the radio
on Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Yes! That's awesome!
Back with you, it's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. On the road, it's Friday. It's a home football Friday. That means we are here inside the Graduate at the amazing Single Barrel. And we invite you down here till 6. Have some goodies to hand out if you want. We have some Busch Light koozies, the old latte koozie. If you're watching us on ESPN Lincoln's Facebook, it's the Santa bag. You have ESPN koozies for your golf bag. And our good friends at Budweiser making things wonderful. Husker headquarters as well. And, maybe we just get you to sign this hat.
Oh, the King of Beers.
Yes.
I can do that.
And would you have pimped Budweiser NIL era if you would have had it?
I would have tried. I would have 100% tried. I don't know if many people would have let me, but I mean,
really?
if I could have got free Busch Light, then yeah, absolutely.
You'd been wearing the bro track,
absolutely.
the bro tank.
You know how many hundreds of dollars I would have saved on beer?
All you're looking for is Busch Light and a seafood endorsement
100%. Give me some Busch Light, and then give me some like steak and lobster endorsement deals. That's all I need. That's all I'd want.
You're happy.
That's all you need, man.
Let's dive into offensive line, Sirles, as that's your expertise, brother. And we will get into this series and how it's been maddening for Nebraska fans. But Northwestern does that to a lot of people in the Big Ten. Names we need to know tomorrow, and I'm gonna give you a name, and you're gonna give me a positive quality about said player's game.
Okay.
Whether they're struggling or not, this is not a
lightning round. I like it.
This isn't a ceiling.
Right.
Right. Kids can get better. You played as a redshirt freshman. Some guys didn't play till they were juniors. It's a different cook time.
Yes.
On offensive linemen.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
Let's start with Turner Corcoran.
Yeah, the dude's athletic ability is insane. I mean, you've seen it when he gets out in screens. He's really good in space. The thing with him is he needs to trust his technique more, a little bit in the pass protection. He waist bends a little bit, but he's another guy that, he missed a lot of camp. And I think
he's hurt.
People saw last year the one game that he had at left tackle. He played outstanding against Rutgers.
Fast edge, yeah.
And then you kind of expected him to just pick right back up. But when you're young, when you miss a lot of training camp, it takes you a few weeks to kind of really get going. I thought he's played better over the last few weeks, and he's gotten much better. But again, he's a guy that just needs to continue developing in the weight room, getting a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger. But his athletic ability, he's going to be a special talent for us for a while.
How many of these guys we talk about experience. You may have been on campus for 2 to 3 years now, but that doesn't always translate to 2 or 3 years worth of starts.
Right, and last year doesn't count. Last year doesn't count at all.
When it comes to confidence, how many of these guys are suffering from maybe lack of confidence?
I'd say 4 of the 5 starters. I mean, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, confidence comes from stacking wins. It comes from stacking good performances against good teams. Like, anyone's going to have confidence after you beat the dog out of Fordham, right? I mean, our twos went in there and beat the dog out of Fordham. You grow confidence from games like Oklahoma where you had some really good things going, but then when you go out and you follow that up with a performance like at Michigan State, it just drains all of that confidence you had. And especially, you're all you talk about during the week. It's all you see when you turn on Twitter. It's all you see. It's really hard to build confidence. There's no way to do it besides just going out on the field and doing it. And so I hope the mindset for a lot of these guys is like, I want to just go out there and flush last week and move forward with this week.
Let's get into Newely.
Yeah, so I don't know much. Newely, however you say it.
Nuri.
The German stallion.
The German
stallion.
No, he's a kid that was at Norris, was part of their championship state football team, and he's kind of a beast. When I watched him in there, he loves pulling and mauling people. He's a name we hear a lot about. He's a name we may see start tomorrow. Time will tell with that, but I'm interested here what you know about him and his opportunity perhaps tomorrow.
Well, I mean, that whole left guard spot, you've got, 4 guys that have played there already? Piper, Nuri, Bando, Banks. I mean, when you hear Scott say we're going to explore options, I wouldn't be surprised to see almost all those guys if you get a chance to. But Nuri's a guy I haven't watched a lot of film on. I know he played at Colorado State for a while. I know that he started a couple games at C-State, if I recall. But just looking at the guy, he's got, not in a weird way, he's got a massive butt. Like, the dude looks like he could just sit on a bull rush, which at the moment's kind of what we need. And so I'm excited if he gets a chance to get an opportunity. He looked well when he went in there against Fordham. I thought he performed really well when he got some meaningful minutes. But, again, it's opportunities are going to arise for these guys at the left guard spot, and whoever takes in there, I think it's kind of the running back room. Like, who's going to take it and go? Who's going to separate themselves from the field? Because Piper has had his opportunities and hasn't. Banks had an opportunity and then Hickson had his opportunity, and he played decent against Oklahoma, and then not very good last week against Michigan State. So that's a huge hole for us to have to fill there at left guard.
Hickson's a guy from a consistency standpoint. He is the most experienced option off the bench, and he's a guy who won some time at different parts of his career.
He's limited in his athletic ability. Okay. That's what I'd say about him. He is who he is. He's good when you get him in a phone booth. He's really strong and stuff, but the book's out on him on how to beat him. If he's playing a guard and you're a 3 technique, just widen out another yard and make him move in space. And that's where he kind of struggles a little bit.
To Piper, a kid from a really great community in Nebraska, northeast Nebraska, is his issue just, again, we say the C word, confidence too, or is it something that, all right, now with a guy like Piper, is he going to have to slim down? Does he need to bulk up? I mean, kind of ballpark that for me, for him to be better, in your opinion.
For me, the thing with Piper is he flashes so well at times. I mean, great blocks, great plays, moving dudes and pulling and smashing dudes. And then at times it seems like he just can't get out of his own way. And I chalk that up to him just being a young guy. I think a lot of it is him just kind of still understanding what the pace of play at college football actually really is. And so, I mean, again, you talk about these guys, what's crazy, it's like, yeah, we're moving all these guys in. It's like, they're going to be here for a long time. Like, we're not talking about dudes that are getting benched and we're kicking them out next year. Like, these dudes are going to be here for a long time. And so it's so important. And Scott talked about it too, about, hey, we're not crumpling them up and throwing them away. We're just saying, hey, you still need to develop. And that's okay. The problem is we need to develop a lot faster because we need to win some football games.
Can you microwave offensive line play?
Not at all. Not in the slightest. That's why you see dudes get drafted in the first and second round of the NFL, and they're still learning. They're still developing. I mean, Andrew Thomas got drafted, I think, 8th overall to the Giants last year and was one of the worst graded out NFL offensive linemen of the year last year. You have to understand it. It only takes reps and reps and reps to understand the speed of the game, the pace of the game, the knowledge of the game, the anticipation of it all. To really put that all together takes a long time.
Let's get into a couple more guards here. Banks I know he was in. I know he went off. I was watching him closely because I love his size.
Yeah, he's big.
And he's pretty mobile, but I know how much hand fighting goes on between offensive and defensive line. I saw him go off kind of holding a hand, so I don't know what his availability is. Did you ever have to play with an injured left or right hand, or can you?
Can't. You cannot play offensive line with a broken hand. You see defensive linemen all the time with the big old clubs and everything on it, but a line play for an offensive lineman is you got to be able to use your hands. And he did come back on the field against Michigan State with what looked like a cast on. So I don't know what his availability will look like for this week, but he's another intriguing guy that moved over from defense, still learning how to play the position in all actuality. And the biggest thing for him is just to continue to develop and understand to not do too much too fast and just take it as it goes. And he was kind of forced to go play over at left tackle when Corcoran got hurt. And so, who knows?
It was a rough first series for him at tackle, but he might be do we have a couple of tackles that might be better guards?
Yeah, you can always move your way in. I always tell people you could go from tackle to guard.
You did it all.
Yeah, you can go from tackle to guard. You can go guard to center. You can't move your way out. You don't see many centers that's like, hey, go play guard or go play tackle. Like, that just doesn't work. But, I think he's a guy that they really feel could be one of the best 5. I don't know what position going down the road. So the cross-training as you're younger is really good until you find the kind of that cement spot to put yourself in.
Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt, we're here at the Single Barrel Roadshow Friday with Hail Varsity Radio, ESPN Lincoln, and of course our affiliates around the state. You're making your way to Lincoln for Nebraska Northwestern for a homecoming weekend. You are invited down here to spend some time. We're here till 6, and of course we'll be here for weekend edition of Hail Varsity Radio pregame 3 to 5 tomorrow. So that'll be good stuff. Sirles, couple minutes here left. Want to get your take on Teddy Prohaska. Teddy's a kid that we enjoyed talking to about 3 weeks ago when he kind of came in and was doing that heavy formation against Oklahoma. Interested to see what could happen with him. Do you put him at left and move a guy like Turner to right, and then maybe have Nuri in at left guard and you stick with Sichterman? We don't know this, but let's pretend that you got Sichterman and Nuri as your guards.
Yep.
Can you get some push for some inside run plays?
I think you can. I think that, again, time will tell, but this is the defense you want to experiment with lineups. Again, and no,
based on your film study?
No disrespect to Northwestern whatsoever. They're an extremely well-coached team. Fundamentally, they are very sound. But when you just look at talent-wise, top to bottom, I feel like if you want to experience with some lineups and some guys in different spots on the offensive line, this would be the game to do it before you go into Michigan next week, who has the talent up front. And so, I think that it's okay to rotate some guys in. It's okay to say, hey, you have to remember, too, a lot of these guys aren't in, and I know they're in shape, but starting shape is a very different shape than just playing shape. To go out there and ask a guy to run 70, 80 plays who hasn't really ran more than probably 30 to 40 plays a single practice is a lot to do. So, it wouldn't be bad. Hey, 2 series for this guy, 2 series for this guy, 2 series this guy. Open competition during live bullets where there's real live consequences isn't a bad thing.
Sirles, in your opinion, are guys getting prepped? We'll get to special teams here in just a moment, but I'm sorry, you're going to run for you're going to choose one of the 250 whiskeys here at the Single Barrel to help us through that conversation when it comes to special teams. But about 30 seconds or so when it comes to just the simulation. Game is game. Oklahoma speed's Oklahoma speed, so good luck simulating that.
Right.
That said, I feel like the guys are prepped. I think the practice setup is competent.
I think that they're prepared well. I don't think that at any point this year have I gone out and think, man, these guys just aren't prepared.
Okay.
I absolutely think they're prepared. It's just a matter of learning to take it from meeting room to practice to the game. It's a step-by-step process. And again, it goes back to the microwave idea. It can't be rushed. It has to just continue to go through that.
More from Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt, Roadshow Friday here at the Single Barrel Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
Chime in 402-4 888-466-ESPN or email the show, Chris@HailVarsity.com.
Just try me. Try me.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery, awaiting Chris and Jeremiah to return as they're out at the Single Barrel at the Graduate Hotel. A lot of whiskeys, steaks for you to choose from. They're giving away some goodies as well. So I am just now filling time, as I do not know what technical difficulties we're experiencing with them out there. In the meantime, what we're going to do is run Nick Henrich's interview from earlier this week. Oh. Do we have Chris back?
I got you right now. Sorry about that, Elijah. You got me okay, bud?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. We're live on the air.
We are live on the air, yes. We had to put another quarter in the machine. And thank the good Lord we are all right. We're working on getting StreamYard back up. So there we are. Down here at the Graduate, Chris Schmidt, Jeremiah Sirles, and some of his Husker buddies from the playing days of Nebraska can join us. Numbers to get in, 466-3776, 466-3776, 800-825-5865. Can email Chris@HailVarsity.com and find us on Twitter at Schmidt_radio, at Herbal Essence, and of course Jeremiah Sirles at Sirles71_HSKR. Bill Doleman coming up. The Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports is where Bill Doleman's at. Of course, Clauseborne with us. Sirles, it got a little dicey, man. It was almost it's almost Hail Mary time.
For what?
Oh, our little setup here. We had to put we were out of change. We had to put more quarters in here. So Elijah comes to me. He's like, do we have Chris and Sirles? We're live on the air. At least there was no potty mouth going on my end.
Which is always good with you.
Yes.
So it's always good to make sure you got the dump button, right? Just.
Oh, I do not.
Oh, you don't? I'll keep that. I think I've kept that in mind. I've been fairly a good boy.
You've been awesome. But we are working on getting the video stream back. Beautiful. So. Yeah, we just had to reboot, reset. You know how it is, changing the oil. Sometimes that happens.
Hey,
Friday.
Man, you got to adapt. It's all about adapting to the game plan.
A late Friday night into Saturday morning. So, our old boy Seth at the bar. We love him.
Oh, love Seth.
He says, hey. He emails in Chris@HailVarsity.com.
I could go for a Randy Ross right now.
Oh,
ooh! I could crush a Randy Ross right now. Wouldn't stand. It wouldn't go 20. Wouldn't go 20.
We are adding to the Sirles NIL yesteryear list here. Budweiser, Busch Light,
Lazari's Pizza,
and food. It's good for a lineman. So let's get into some Nebraska thoughts.
Yes.
We've hit linemen. We've kind of done a quick. Wasn't a super bang, quick word association per player. Last thought though. With Nebraska football O-line. We mentioned confidence. We mentioned nastiness. I want to get into Adrian and that dynamic of holding the football, waiting an extra count, trying to make something happen, having a big play, and then taking a sack. Because I've seen the pro football grades. You've seen them.
Yep.
And guys aren't doing well. That's not always on the line, but Adrian's playing at an incredible level. He's been a ton of fun to watch. Needs more help. We like the skill guys around him, but you just need more consistency from the O-line. And tomorrow could be, the way I look at it, tomorrow could be a monster step forward for this whole unit, because if you get better O-line play, you're going to have more time to find Omar. You're going to have more time to find your pet plays that are open. And you're going to also have Adrian, because he had moments where, man, he could sign a football before he threw it against Oklahoma. Not a lot of them, but man, they when he had time, he hit bets big, and he found Omar. You had the throwback screen. This offense, I think the fuse is lit for it. You just need the O-line to move forward. Maybe they find that way their way tomorrow.
I think they will too, but the thing that Northwestern's going to do, Chris, is it's a copycat league, right? It's a once the blueprint's out on how to stop a team or how to give a team issues, the following team the next week is going to do exactly so. What did Michigan State do? They pressured us. Mm-hmm. They sent more than 4, or they looked like they were going to send more than 4, and then they would only send 2 or 3 and try and get us off balance. And there was a couple times we missed in our protection schemes, but the offensive line is going to get challenged early tomorrow with pressures. I mean, Northwestern's not a huge pressure team because they don't have the dudes in the back end that can hold up one-on-one, so they don't blitz a lot, but they're going to send pressure and see if we can stop it. Can we stop it? Did we plug the leak in the dam that was last week in the pressure game so that Adrian can go to? And another big thing in this pass game, Chris, is getting Travis Vokalek back involved. He had the great catch.
That was money.
A great catch, but he's open him more than once or twice on that film as you look at it. And I think Adrian's still just developing that chemistry with him again because, again, he got dinged in camp and he missed some time. And so they're still building that chemistry. You put Allen and Vokalek together in that group, man, that tight end room is freaking special, dude.
Russ, our dear friend, Iowa Russ, chimes in. Chris at HailVarsity.com. He is calling BS on the technical difficulty. He is saying, Schmidt, you need to get your makers and squirt ordered sooner. Which is pretty good. Elijah is taking some, because you can watch the show. We're here at the Single Barrel, ESPN, Lincoln, Facebook. We are StreamYarding it. You see Sirles, you see me. You got the new TO gear.
I do. They gave me a big box of stuff, and they were like, hey, wear this. I was like, is it free? They're like, yeah. It's like, for sure I'll wear
Sirles
that.
is wearing the TO gear. Elijah Herbal is at a charity event a little bit later tonight and wearing a tie. You're taking some for... Well, wearing a tie. Is that a tie? Is it a clip-on? It is homecoming week, so it is time to throw out random Animal House quotes since it is homecoming. Maybe they'll be ramming speed tomorrow.
I hope so.
But Elijah, you do look very, very proper. You look professional. You look nice.
Yeah, you hung me out to dry on the live stream, though. Just me sitting here by myself listening to you guys. just my face. Just right here. I had to put up a little thing that said, this is Elijah Herbal, but don't worry, we're awaiting Chris and Jeremiah coming back. So I'm just sitting here awkward.
I thought you were launching your OnlyFans. I thought it was the launch of Elijah's OnlyFans account
here. Elijah in studio, fans only.
my dad got in here and was like, why are you wearing a tie?
What is this sock puppet doing here? What is this sock puppet doing here? Why is it screaming?
Who is this strange man in tie on my screen?
all we needed was a mustache to still
get my goodness gracious, dude. You guys are never going to have me back.
No, that was good. That was pretty good. Vic wants to know if you're wearing pants. You know, it is COVID years, so who knows? How many people did interviews in sweats and a...
I've had multiple where I've just been in gym shorts with a nice button down, and you got the hair done, and then as soon as you're done, you're stand up, you're like, I'm going to go sit on my couch.
We will dive into some NFL coming up next hour. Bill Doleman's on the way, and Nebraska a chance to make it happen. Game plan is what? I mean, we talk keys. Hey, get a lead. I mean, here's the reality with Nebraska football and Coach Frost. Games you're trailing at half, they have been unkind for the Big Red. Period. End of discussion.
Yep.
And it's not just a Frost thing. It's been a Nebraska thing. But under Frost, they are 3-17 when trailing at halftime, and we know the one-score number. We'll dive in if we think tomorrow's a one-score, not winding down hour one. Come see us at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate with Hail Varsity.
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
We are back here. It is a good day. Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt at the Single Barrel, Elijah Herbal with the screenshot of the century.
Wasn't even thinking about that.
No.
I got to be more aware of my surroundings.
It's okay. You're all right. No one's finding us yet. It's okay.
Or paying us yet. I'm waiting for the tips. Where's the tip ding? Ding, 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 ding.
That's a good question. All right. If you're missing, we were kind of referencing if Elijah was getting into his own, how do we put this?
Private streaming profitable funds?
Yes, his own tribute to folks that want to see Elijah on a stream.
Yeah, in a tie. Clip-on, probably.
No. Not a clip-on tie. I draw the line there.
That's fair.
Good.
Is it at least a double Windsor?
It is. It is a double Windsor. How'd you know?
Oh, look at you growing up, man.
I'm not a single Windsor guy.
I love it. Double Windsor guy all the way.
Mm-hmm. Junior had homecoming the other night, and I tried to tie his. I mean, I was in Norman, so I failed as a father to get him tied. But I bought him a sport coat, and he looked all right.
He looked all right. You have a date?
He did. He had a date, and then he had a date for Southwest, and then he's supposed to have a date for East. So
he's got double homecoming.
Yeah.
Look at that guy. Little lady killer.
Gets it from his mom. He's a dirty monkey. He does. He looks like his mother, thankfully. Coming up, the pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, is Bill Doleman. He'll be with us. Clauseborne in hour 2, the Friday forecast. That is good stuff when we're talking Nebraska O-line. But Adrian needs more time. This team needs a bounce-back win. This team needs to get to 500. I know Michigan looms. But nastiness is big. Confidence is big. Experience is uber important. So we've kind of laid out and spent a lot of time on the O-line. We spent a lot of time on attitude. Defensively and mentality, this defense is so much like their defensive coordinator and Coach Chin's, where head down, keep chopping wood, and there you have it. That's kind of their mentality. I don't worry about this team tomorrow being ready. If it goes funky, I worry about the rest of the season. We've been talking up, benchmark Oklahoma. We've talked, all right, the opportunity to get off on the right foot, Illinois. All right, how do they respond against Sparty? And then you get gut punched like that. Okay, so now really, truly, you've had a couple of standing 8 counts, but you are manning up and refusing to TKO'd. So I'm interested to know if Nebraska can handle their business and take it out on somebody tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, too, for this defense is, a lot of people talked to me this week of, is the defense going to let down because they're just not getting rewarded for their win, right? I think it's the opposite. I think the defense is kind of wearing it of a badge of honor along the lines of, hey, we're going to win football games because we're going to freaking win football games in the trenches, and because we're going to take the ball away, and we're going to win because we're only going to hold teams to 10 points. I mean, this is a defense that I think can hold Northwestern to under 10 points tomorrow. Based on
there's not a gift wrap at the 30.
Yeah, as long as the offense doesn't gift them something, or the special teams gifts them something, like this defense is playing such good team defense all around the board. Everyone does their job. They trust their job. They don't try and do too much, that they can hold this team to under 10 points tomorrow.
Jeremiah Sirles, Chris Schmidt, come see us here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate Home Football Friday. It's good to have Sirles, our favorite Husker and sideline man, with us. Elijah Herbal and his real, not clip-on tie, back at the studio. Bill Doleman on the way, Clauseborne on the way. NFL thoughts coming up, and of course Nebraska Northwestern more, hour 2.
Welcome to Hail Varsity Radio, the voice of Husker Nation. Insight, opinion, expertise, with the biggest and best names talking Nebraska across the state. Join the show on Twitter at Hail Varsity and at Schmidt_radio. Call in at 402-466-ESPN or 1-800-825-5865. Here's Chris Schmidt.
Back into it. It's hour 2. It's Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Northwestern Nebraska, a special weekend. It's homecoming. Doleman right now is probably wearing a toga, screaming, ramming speed. You were back from the NFL. You and Butch and, of course, Spencer. And this was probably 3, 4, 5 years ago, the overtime game.
Yep.
Where Malik lost it.
Yep.
And you drugged me down to O Street after the ball game.
We did. We went down to, I think we ended the night in the rail.
Yes.
At that night.
It was
Never again.
Oh, it was great.
Never again will I step foot in the rail.
Oh,
maybe.
That's pretty good. Oh, man. But, yeah, Northwestern Nebraska is always it's always like a bar fight.
Dude, just throw the records out. I don't know what it is. Someone was asking me about that today. They were like, what is it about Northwestern? I was like, we should beat this team by 2 touchdowns. I was like, yeah.
Vegas thinks so.
I thought that, too, in 2012 and 2013 when I was playing, and we should have lost both those games. I mean, this team just there's no fear of Nebraska.
Can we go Diaco? No reasonable reason.
No reasonable reason.
No reasonable reason.
I mean, the strain's probably there, but I mean, for the most part, I just don't think that they have any fear. I feel like they have confidence that, hey, we can play with Nebraska no matter what.
Well, Nebraska's going to screw something up.
I think that that's a lot of it, too. And the preach of Coach Fitzgerald to his kids is we don't beat ourselves. Play clean, don't beat ourselves, let the game come to you. Nebraska historically has found ways to beat themselves and then capitalize on those opportunities, and we'll give ourselves a chance to win. That's the coaching pitch to Northwestern right now.
Well, and the thing that Fitz is missing is a guy like Ramsey last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the kid out of Illinois, the big tall dude that graduated at quarterback. They kind of had some instability there 2 years ago at quarterback. And then here's Ramsey, the kid from Indiana that was big time. That is Jeremiah Sirles, standout Husker NFLer. And we welcome in the pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, Bill Doleman with us. Billy D, it's homecoming. Are you going to be celebrating, John Belushi style? How are you?
You know, I was reminiscing about homecomings when I was at my days at Theta Xi over there on R Street. And I think the extent of our effort for homecoming amounted to blowing up a couple of balloons and then going downstairs to have a basement party and listen to the Violent Femmes and REM and Prince and celebrate a job well done. That was the extent of the homecoming participation at Theta Xi in the late 1980s.
So you were not into making a parade. You weren't into it.
We were into celebrating days that ended in Y.
In your prime, how many Busch Lights could you put away?
Or the equivalent of Busch Light,
whatever that may have been.
Oh, boy, back in the day? Well, I'll tell you, whatever the record would have been has long been forgotten with the number that I would have had. But I would probably say 2. Because I spent a lot of my time studying and volunteering at the Knights of Columbus.
Taking beautiful women to Red Lobster when it was open.
R.I.P. Red Lobster, man.
Bill, you are some have called you back in the day the mayor of O Street. No, I kid. But no, Nebraska, Northwestern. What do you think tomorrow, man? Are you nervous? Are you excited? Sirles has done a great job at kind of outlining where Nebraska needs to go with the offensive line, and you'll see some changes probably tomorrow, and that could be for good. Defense played great. I don't know if you filled your swear jar last weekend with the Michigan State effort, but kind of tell us how your week's been and how you're feeling for tomorrow.
It has been the longest week that I can remember. It just seems like this Michigan State game took place a month ago, and that's all we can think about and talk about. I mean, I almost forgot that Nebraska was even playing Northwestern this week because that whole Michigan State hangover has just been lingering like a bad keg of Busch Light. But I was listening to a little bit about what you were saying a moment ago, and it is something that I had carved into my dashboard, and that is that I think teams have gotten together in the Big Ten boardrooms and saying, you know what, we don't need the officials to any longer call offensive pass interference or Nebraska for holding on quarterback sneaks, because at some point Nebraska is going to do something to cost them the game. I really think that Michigan State probably thought, you know what, we're getting our asses kicked, but just hang in there. They're going to do something that's going to turn this game completely around. I really believe that that's what teams think of Nebraska right now. It used to be back in the day, as I like to go back to, when you never thought Nebraska was going to beat itself. But now I think everybody goes into the game thinking at some point there's going to be a costly turnover. They're going to do something. Now, they're not going to do something like field a punt and get a safety. That's never going to happen. Or they're not going to punt to the left side when everybody goes to the right. That happens. But I really do think that teams are saying Nebraska's going to do something to beat itself and take itself out of the game that it's not going to recover. And that's exactly what happened against Michigan State. And I would bet that Northwestern is saying the same exact thing right now.
So, I mean, help me with this then, because I've been struggling with it too. How do you fix that? I mean, there's got to be a disconnect somewhere between, we talked about it in hour one, the meeting room to the practice field to the game. I don't honestly think it's coaching as much as it's just the players executing. I mean, what do you see from that, or how do you think that gets fixed and put back on the right track where Nebraska doesn't beat themselves and this football team is actually a pretty damn good football team when they don't get in their own way?
Well, it's a winning defense. But, I really think that the mistake happens, and then they can't get out of it. It's one thing that the mistake happens in a game. You have a penalty at a bad time, you have a turnover or something like that. You recover, and you move on, and you're just good enough to do it. But I think that just as much as teams believe Nebraska's going to do it, I think Nebraska's in its head thinking we're going to do it. And something's going to happen that we're going to make a mistake somehow, some way, and we're going to take ourselves out of the game. And I think that's what it is. It's that it is a mental thing that you make that mistake, and it just compounds into a defeatist attitude. Nebraska needs to go out and just kick the crap out of somebody. And it'd be great if it happened this week to where they believe, you know what, we can beat somebody for 60 solid minutes. And take that victory and feel good and build on it, because they got to believe that they're doing some things right. Nebraska is really 2 plays and 1 quarter away from being unbeaten. The fumble against Illinois, the punt against Michigan State, and I said last week I don't think Nebraska went into the Oklahoma game that first quarter thinking that we can win the game. And they give up the touchdown on the first drive of the game. But after quarter 2 on, they played even, and I thought outplayed Oklahoma, but they got in a bit of a hole, and it was a while before they were able to actually believe that they could do it. But 2 plays in 1 quarter, Nebraska's 5-0.
Bill Doleman's with us, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. It's a big game next weekend because Bill Doleman will be back in the state of Nebraska for Nebraska-Michigan. He has been bottling up that hatred of a split national championship since 1997. He will unleash the fury next Saturday night under the lights for the ultimate helmet game, praying that Michigan's unbeaten. If you're a Nebraska fan, praying Nebraska's back to 500 after Northwestern. Bill, I want to get into Nebraska's. We've talked about their mentality. We've talked about some of what ails them. Did you read into anything that Trev said this week? I know he had his show Thursday night. Trev's a straight shooter, very honest, and going to not tell you everything's all red and rosy. I mean, he said there's problems, and he talked about minute details, attention to detail, all those things that aren't working, but he's not saying, look, I'm judging you and making a decision right now. I think there's some analysis going on, but Trev's the first to say there's a lot of season left, and he's also the first to say that, you know what, it could be a 5-0 team, but he knows that you gotta earn it, and there's got to be some trust. Did you take anything away from his comments about Scott and just where the team's at?
I looked at it more, or listened more with a broader view in mind, as opposed to the specifics of what he was saying and parsing words, which I can do. I'm not going to put Trev Alberts and Bill Moose in the same category necessarily in terms of their leadership style, but what I take from that is Nebraska has a football guy in charge of the athletic department and the football program. There's nothing that Scott Frost can do that's going to pull the wool over the eyes of his boss. It's not like whoever was the coach when Sean Eichhorst was the athletic director and everybody was playing, kick the guy in the behind, right? So, look, Trev can watch, and Trev knows what's happening. And I'm sure Scott probably understands that by now. If he didn't when Trev got the job, he does now. Trev's in charge. That's what I took out of it is Trev understands what's going on with the program. He said the right things about the program, the team, the coach, and the direction. So that's really the press box view that I had of it. And I thought he said all the right things. And I don't think that you can say that he's not a hands-on guy. I don't think he's micromanaging Scott, but I think it's pretty clear that Scott knows that his boss knows what's going on.
Bill Doleman's with us here on Hail Varsity Radio. And Bill, just based on what you've heard, from Trev Albert's first, 3-4 months on the job, do you think that Scott Frost is on the hot seat just based on what you've heard from Trev, or do you think that Trev is more playing it by ear, waiting and seeing? Because from what I heard from him on Wednesday night, it didn't sound like any sort of decision was imminent.
No, I don't think Scott's on a hot seat. I think that's stuff that the national media wants to talk about and bandy about. No, I don't think so. I think something dramatically bad would have to happen for the seat to get warm and for there to be a change. And I don't see that. I think if you watch Nebraska, there is progress. There's mistakes that are glaring. There's mistakes that have cost them wins. But I think for the most part, I think Trev understands, and I think Scott probably understands, and I'm sure they've come to an understanding together. But I think any talk about Scott being on the hot seat right now is just nationally perpetuated and not what is being talked about on the inside. Unless there is something that is really bad going on that we don't know about, I don't think the seat's very hot.
Bill Doleman's with us, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, Hail Varsity Radio, Roadshow Friday. We are here at the Single Barrel, amazing steaks, 250 whiskeys to choose from. They even have Guinness for Doleman. There is Busch Light as well, tall boys.
And it's cold.
And it is very cold. And we are hanging out here till 6. You're invited down. So, Bill, a look at Nebraska and what you think they can do tomorrow. What's the game plan? You're going to probably have 3 to 4 new faces on the offensive line. And you've got a couple of guys that are playing competently to well at running back. I don't know that you're going to have Betts because of a lingering injury, but I think you'll have Oliver Martin back. You still have Omar Manning. You still have your tight ends. What do you do offensively here against Northwestern? You know they're going to want to muck it up. You know they're going to probably try and get home with 4. And you know they're going to stunt to try and confuse linemen here. So, is this a downhill power game, or is this just Adrian, go do your thing and extend plays and save us yet again? Put the Superman cape on.
Okay, here's the deal. If there is a procedure penalty on the opening drive of the game, I think you take all of those guys out and you tell Sirles to drop the microphone. You go find Sty. You go find Joel Wilkes, who's probably got season tickets. You go find Aaron Taylor in Omaha. And I don't care how old and grizzled you guys are, you line up a whole bunch of old-time Nebraska offensive linemen, pads or not, and you just put those guys out there and make them road great for 4 quarters. Because if there's a procedure penalty on the opening drive of the game, I might go ballistic. And I'm a pretty low-key guy.
What are the odds?
That
You're close to Vegas. I mean, what's the over-under? Would you bet even money that there is or isn't a procedure penalty in the first drive tomorrow?
No, I don't want to do that. I really don't. I just got a headache.
I only bet on things I know I'm going to win at, Chris.
I know. You're like, I don't want to burn money. So
it infuriates me. It infuriates me. But, I mean, how does a guy – Jeremiah, how do you feel? How do you guys who are all, along the offensive line, you know what you see. You know what's going on, you got to feel more helpless than anybody.
I had grass stains on my pants from Michigan State from just falling to my knees and just in disbelief when to be honest, Logan Smothers led a great drive down there.
Yes.
If we don't jump off sides twice on that drive, we might score, Bill. And I think that's the more frustrating thing is when they're young guys, you're like, oh, you get it. But when you watch this team, they're so freaking close to turning the corner that those type of things are what kill you. They're drive killers because we're not a good enough team to overcome those things yet.
Bill, hang on the line. We are up against a hard break, so I need 90 seconds on the other side here for the infamous and legendary Pride of Fairbury, Bill Doleman, NBC Sports score prediction. Can you do that for me?
Brother, I got 90 minutes for you. Come on.
All right.
Bring it.
Bill Doleman gonna hang on. Sirles is down here. We're here at the Single Barrel. It's awesome, man. Incredible steaks, 250 whiskeys, Guinness for Doleman, a crushed Busch Light by Sirles. And come see us down here till 6. Home Football Fridays with Hail Varsity at ESPN.
And now,
And now, back to Hail Varsity Radio.
Back here at the Single Barrel, it's Hail Varsity Radio Road Show Friday. Come get a New York strip bone-in. It is amazing. Here at the Single Barrel, 250 whiskeys to choose from. Busch Light and Guinness, if that's your dance. In the Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports, Bill Doleman. Bill, we needed enough launch time for your legendary prediction. You said Nebraska, I think 3-2 or something crazy last week. What happens tomorrow, 6:30 under the lights on BTN, Nebraska, Northwestern? But, did you know Sirles got to go on a visit and see Coach Fitzgerald? Fitz actually waved at him as they were getting off the bus earlier.
Well, right now I'm picturing Sirles at the Single Barrel with like a Fred Flintstone Brontosaurus-sized stack of ribs weighing down the left side of the table. As he should.
Oh, not yet. But soon.
Yeah. I'm going to miss that next week. Next week, by the way, I will be at the Greater Fairbury metropolitan area at the high school honoring my old basketball coach Chuck Moore is getting the court named after him, as it well should. And as the guy that Coach Moore once said was the best fouler with 2 minutes left to go in a game that he ever coached, I thought I should be there. So that's why I'm coming back.
The Bill Lambier Bill Doleman Award goes to.
Hey, they give you 5 for a reason.
Yes.
That's high
you played
praise.
hoops, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
More
fouls than points, boys.
That's the way to do it. Bill, what happens? Does Nebraska get back to even?
Yeah, I think this is a game where you may see the most complete game of the Scott Frost era. I really think that they are close to putting it together offensively. I like the way Adrian is playing. I think he might be the best quarterback in the Big Ten right now. I know he's certainly got one of the best passer ratings. I think that defense is playing great football right now. And I don't think Nebraska punts, thankfully. I think the offense is so efficient. The defense takes the ball away, but there is no need whatsoever to punt tomorrow. So, in honor of the big week, the big announcement this week, I say Nebraska 255 and covers, and the defense pitches a shutout, 255-0.
Okay, that's right.
I'll take the under.
Sirles going to teammates.
Sirles is wearing TO gear, which is really cool. So that is good. 255-0 in honor of TO. And that's always how these things go against Northwestern, isn't it? Lots of scoring, lots of red zone execution, 13 trips. Make that 7 trips, 13 points in the red zone last year, and it was 21-13. Bill, have a great weekend. Enjoy Denver hosting Baltimore, okay? And we are excited to have you back in the good life next Friday, bud. And we will see you and talk to you next Friday, and be sure to trank dart you so we can get you back on the show Saturday as well.
All right, I look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Go Big Red, and for the love of God, no punts.
There we go. Bill Doleman with us, Pride of Fairbury, NBC Sports. For him to slip that in there, I pray we don't have to punt.
No punts and no pre-snap procedure penalties, or someone find Bill Doleman and make sure he's nowhere near sharp objects.
Even money. I mean, think about you think of your money line and your numbers and your Adam Sandler Uncut Gems parlay of all parlays. Think about what the money would be like. We should call Danny Burke in Vegas right now, where Nebraska has 0 procedure penalties on offense and there's no disaster on special teams. I mean, that's a tough sell. Those odds, it's probably like, I don't know, 12-1.
I mean, 12-1?
Probably 50-1.
Why
we
would you
are
ever even
home,
bet that?
which is a big thing. But we are possibly having some new faces on that offensive line. It's a night game. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, a lot of youth. I mean, it's shaking me to say this, but I would not be surprised if there was 1 or 2 procedure penalties on the offensive line tomorrow.
So the first guy who jumps, the other 4 dog pile and code red.
I mean, I think you almost have to do the Full Metal Jacket with the bars of soap and just sleep tight and just pop, pop, pop.
It's just a bad dream, fat boy.
If there's no procedure penalties and no
Why did you have something, brother?
Yeah, if there's no procedure penalties and no major mistakes, I will eat this microphone in front of me. I will figure out a way to do it.
Deal.
There's no way that's happening.
No, you got to wear a clip on. You got to wear a clip on next Friday.
I'm with Bill on the side of this could be the most complete Scott Frost game, though.
He's right.
I'm with him on that because I do think we're close to turning the corner. This is not a bad, but not a great Northwestern team that really could be a get-right game for
garbage.
the Huskers. They're not good.
They have 3 starters back on defense. Their offensive line lost 2. They are in full rebuild mode, and they're gonna be a pain in the ass in Ireland next year.
Yep.
Somehow, some way. But this is when you take it out on them because they're just not good. But yet Nebraska will screw up tomorrow. I'll have my prediction here next segment, but Nebraska will screw up enough to the point that it's going to be close. It's going to be a fourth quarter game.
I don't think so.
All right. You in on this, steak and a beer?
Oh, sure.
I say it's a fourth quarter game.
Nope.
Fourth quarter game, steak and a beer.
Done.
You?
I'm
shake? Like
sure.
Chubbs? All right.
Sure. I mean, probably, I think, like, start of the fourth quarter of the game's close. I think Nebraska puts it away late. So what is that your definition? Do you think, like, it's coming down to the wire? Is that what you think?
I think you're within one score going into the fourth quarter.
No chance. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think this is a get-right first time we're going to beat up on a Big Ten opponent by double digits.
I hope you're right. Let's talk NFL for 2 seconds. A lot of intriguing matchups. Sirles, how much NFL Sunday do you get, brother, now that you're retired?
I watch a lot of Sunday ticket. I was a bad father last Sunday. I came home from the Michigan State game. I had the Husker hangover. I kind of blocked off the living room and just let the kids run around as the Red Zone channel. And Andrew Siciliano just serenaded me for 7 hours.
I love Siciliano.
He's the man.
He is good stuff. Vikings got a dirty win over Seattle.
Finally.
Yeah.
Golly, dude.
Yeah, that was rough. Cleveland comes to town. I think that's intriguing. Listen, I really dislike Philly. I know you really hate Philadelphia Eagle fans.
A lot.
And the Chiefs go there.
Jalen Hurts is not an NFL quarterback.
He had a great quote, though, Sunday.
What did he say?
You take a deuce, you don't sit there and look at it, you just flush it.
I mean, everyone takes a peek.
Well, not in
Philly?
Not in Hurts.
Not in Philly? Apparently not.
No, they don't. Everyone takes a peek.
Gotta see what you're dealing with back there.
But the Chiefs need to get back to 500. I love watching Kyler Murray and the the Cardinals. We're going to take Junior and Mama Bear down to see Seattle in Arizona, I think, first part of January.
I mean, here in a couple of weeks, you get to see the old Baker Mayfield Kyler Murray Bowl up in the land there. Those two guys will score off.
And San Fran, I mean, what a comeback by Green Bay, but now Seattle has to go to San Francisco. And then Elijah, your donks.
Finally, I was waiting for you to get to this.
I'll say your donks too, because
my dad's donks.
Your dad's donks. Listen, you could knock off the Ravens and move to 4-0. I know you're close to Teddy.
Yeah.
Teddy's making it work in Denver, Elijah. You got to be smiling.
Gotta love what touchdown Teddy's brought to the Broncos this year. He has just been doing everything he needs to do. I think he still has the top completion percentage in the league, one of the highest QBRs on the season. He is running that offense to perfection. I know, obviously, you look at it and go, oh, well, the competition hasn't been great, but we saw the Jaguars.
It's tough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the NFL. They pitched a shutout against the Jets. It's hard to pitch a shutout against anybody, though the Jets' offense isn't great. It's still the NFL. You still pitched a shutout. I know the Jags went and invested a lot of money in their defense this offseason, and the Broncos still picked them apart. So I think this is going to be a great test for the Broncos to see how they can stack up against the Ravens. And Lamar Jackson missed a couple days of practice this week, so that bodes well for the Broncos as well. Really looking forward to this one. I think Teddy Bridgewater, though, has really solidified himself as being the right guy to lead the Denver offense, not just this year, but possibly moving forward. I know it's only 3 games in, but he has looked super confident in that quarterback role.
I mean, the other big thing, too, is the best friend for the Denver Broncos right now is the Baltimore Ravens injury report.
Yeah.
That thing's a freaking page-turner long right now. They got a lot of guys hurt, especially along that offensive line. But I agree with you. I think what Shermer's done there in Buffalo, who was my OC in Minnesota, he has familiarity with Teddy. He does a great job of calling plays that he's good for his players, and he doesn't just do square peg, round hole. He's a very adjustable guy. But, I mean, Teddy's been nails the last few weeks.
And I just want to jump in and ask, the offensive line coach for the Broncos, Mike Munchak. Do you know anything about him, Sirles? He is like coming in completely turned around the careers of like
he was a
three
great
Broncos
player for the. Was he with the Oilers?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
Munchak was like one of the guys you heard a ton about, and was a Pro Bowl guy every year for the Oilers back in the day.
I mean, anytime you have a former player as a coach, I think it just. I mean, I'm not saying that every great coach needs to be a former player, but especially the offensive line position, great players that then go coach understand you're never going to ask your guys to do something that you know you can't physically really get done. Like schematically, yeah, this looks great on paper, but to ask someone to physically do that isn't great, and they've just done a really nice job of being physical at the point of attack. They're moving guys in the run game, but the big thing is they're protecting a lot better. And you talk about needing protection, the AFC West has got pass rushers all over the place. And I thought, I mean, you got Dalton Reisner's playing good ball, Garrett Bowles is playing good ball. I mean, they're all just playing really good ball up front, but that's because they've been able to run the football as well.
You got a Mark chimes in here to the back to Nebraska Northwestern. Northwestern's the new Missouri, no matter the record. It's a battle every time. How many Hail Mary games have there been between Nebraska and the Huskers? Just one.
I mean, a lot of last-minute games.
No, but the physical Hail Mary, you were at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, almost died.
But Westy made a great catch, 12, 13, and then you guys kind of smoked them in 14, and then you've had 15 and 16, and you won up there in 16. You lost in 17. You blew a 10-point lead with 4 minutes left in 18. The sea of hands field goal with the walk-on soccer guy.
The 11-yard vertical field goal.
Yes, where it was 13-10 at the buzzer, thanks to a Lamar Jackson pick where he could have took it back, and he just kind of found his way to the sideline to avoid contact. Gotta love Lamar though.
He got nervous. Okay.
Yeah, there was people chasing
too much green grass in front of him.
And then last year, where Nebraska scored before half, took the lead after the back-to-back possessions where you score a touchdown, and then you had the Luke experience trying to score within the red zone. Nebraska was a nightmare in the red zone.
I mean, we haven't been much better this year. We got to be better in the red zone, man.
We got about a minute and a half before the forecast. Is there no bread and butter to go to? There's no run game that you can lean on that's physical and powerful. So guess what? You're throwing, and it's easier. You have more room to go crossing route versus vertical. Is that the philosophy?
It is, but also the philosophy is you want to run the ball in the red zone because everything shrinks.
Yeah,
and you got safeties that are usually
at
18 or standing at 12. Corners are pressed because they're just perfecting the goal line. Like everything shrinks so much in the red zone. You got to rely on the run game.
Brady or Belichick, a rooting interest?
Oh, Brady for sure.
Okay,
Brady all the way.
You've had too many bros play for the hoodie.
I mean, I had a lot, but also it's just like I don't know why, but I kind of love Brady more now that he's gone versus when he was there. I don't know why, but it's just kind of like you got to.
He's a normal guy now.
You want to root for the dude. It's like, dude, you're 50 years old out there slinging the pigskin. Let's go.
That is Jeremiah Sirles. We're here at the Single Barrel every home football Friday. You are invited out. Hail Varsity Roadshow with ESPN Lincoln. Sirles is here, your favorite sideline man for Nebraska football. And, of course, we will dive into the Friday forecast. He's imaginary. He wears red. The infamous Clauseborne next to Hail Varsity, presented by the Nebraska Lottery.
He's in his 30s, but sounds like he was born with a stogie in one hand and a brew in the other.
Now, say my name.
It's Schmidt on Hail Varsity Radio.
I got the body of a taut, preteen Swedish boy.
Some emails to maybe try and get to here in about 10 minutes as we wind down a Friday road show. We're here at the Single Barrel inside the Graduate, amazing, legendary steakhouse for Nebraska. When you get here for Home Football Fridays, make a beeline to the Single Barrel. Try the bone-in pork chops. I highly recommend it. The filet is incredible. And, yes, the bone-in New York strip is undefeated. It is awesome. And 250 whiskeys to choose from. I'm looking at the games for the forecast, and I did not put Michigan, Wisconsin on here. That's my bad, but there's so many other games. Let's say hi to Clauseborne as he is with us. He's imaginary, and he wears red. Claus, how's your week?
Well, it's been pretty eventful. I will say I don't care how well-dressed you guys are. You can't be as well-dressed as I am this week.
That's true. Sirles is wearing the Nebraska gear, or the TO gear.
That 255, I tell you, he's already got a great voice, spends more time on the radio than the EAS alert, doing a great job, but now he looks the part.
There he is. Claus, you're so kind. Look at Claus buttering you up.
I know, he loves me.
All right, let's get into the forecast. Elijah, you ready, Big Cat? All right, let's talk. Game kicks off here shortly. It's Iowa minus 3.5 against Maryland. Crab cakes in football. You know, I think Maryland. God, I want to pull the trigger on Maryland here because a little Tua and Loxley. I like the Maryland athletes, but ultimately Iowa just finds ways to do this, and they'll stay unbeaten, and their defense will clamp down. Iowa's good, and they're physical, and Maryland will feel it. Kind of like that scene in Wedding Crashers where there was the blitz that was unblocked off the edge. Hot route. Yes, and there was a concussion. Give me Iowa 21-14 in just Iowa football. They win, they cover. Elijah, what do you say?
Yeah, I like your low-scoring prediction here. Give me Iowa 17 and Maryland 10. I just think this is Big Ten football. Iowa, their defense has been imposing their will on some good offenses this year, including Iowa State. So it kind of depends if their defense can put them in some plus territory, how many points Iowa's going to score, but 17-10 sounds about right to me.
Sirles, what do you have?
I think Iowa picks off Tagovailoa or whatever his name is about 2 or 3 times. I think that Iowa actually runs away with this one. I'm going to go Iowa 34 and Maryland 17.
Claus, a difficult discussion here, but we have to have it. Maryland, Iowa. What happens here? You going with the Hawkeyes?
Well, there was 2 mysteries when I saw this game on the list that I felt I needed to solve. One, how did Iowa get so good? And number 2, what is a terrapin? And I found out it's really just a fancy name for a turtle. Of course, back in my day, the fanciest name we had for a turtle was Donatello, but I digress. Think about it, Christopher. Anyway, I agree with Jeremiah. Well named, by the way. I'll take Iowa in this one, 24, and Maryland 14.
Moving on, Arkansas, Georgia, the backdrop of Deliverance Extras. Let's see if Arkansas. I love watching Arkansas and their power football approach. I think Georgia's too good, and between the hedges will not go Arkansas's way, but they will cover. 18's too many. Give me Georgia 35, and give me Arkansas 21. Arkansas with the cover, but not the win. Elijah.
I picked against Arkansas last week, and you saw how that went for me. Not well, so I'm going to learn from my mistakes and do the exact same thing. Pick it against Arkansas again. I got Georgia winning 27-6. Their defense is incredible. I know they shut down Clemson, and Clemson's offense has been a bit of a train wreck this year, but I still am a firm believer in this Georgia defense. So 27-6, Georgia gets the win and the cover.
Sirles?
They're scoring more than 6, Elijah. I agree. I think Arkansas is playing good football. I think Georgia's defense is really good. I agree. Georgia wins, but Arkansas covers. It's closer than people think, 24-17.
Claus, what do you got here, Georgia or Arkansas?
I'm still struggling to understand why people are so high on Georgia every single year. I mean, in the last 40 years, the country of Georgia has as many championships. Sweet Georgia Brown has more undefeated seasons, unless the Globetrotters have dropped one recently. Georgia O'Keeffe has produced more masterpieces than this team, and she died in 1986. So I say hammer that line. Arkansas is going to be within 7, and the final score will be 21-14. Georgia wins, but Arkansas covers it by quite a bit.
Cincinnati and Notre Dame, back-to-back tough ball games for the Irish. I like Coach Fickell and what Cincy's going. I think they go in and win outright at Notre Dame, and you're getting the Irish in 2 points. I think it's a 7-point win for Cincinnati, 35-28. Elijah, what do you got?
Cincinnati is. I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen all that much of them this year. Notre Dame has impressed me. Good win over Wisconsin. They had some heart against Florida State. I know Florida State's not good this year, but you never kind of know what's going to happen in a week 1 game like that. I guess that was week 2. But I haven't watched enough of Cincy to think that they can win this game. Notre Dame has been good for, 6 years now. I really like Brian Kelly as a coach, so I got Notre Dame to win this one outright. Close one, 31-28. Notre Dame gets the win.
Sirles?
Notre Dame can't score. I mean, they can't move the football. They can't score. They won last week because they did a kickoff return and 2 pick sixes. I got Cincinnati winning this outright by at least 7.
All right, and what do you got for me, Claus?
Well, Notre Dame is a very weird team. Of course, I told you last week they fudged their numbers a little bit like Christopher at the bars in O Street back in the 90s. But they kind of, again, like Christopher after the bars in O Street in the 90s, kind of an explosion out of nowhere. Very disappointing to the ladies of Wisconsin wearing red. But I think Notre Dame, I agree with Jeremiah again. They're not that good, and I think Cincinnati is. I think the Bearcats win 21 and Notre Dame 17.
Friday forecast, Hail Varsity Radio here at the Single Barrel. Chris Schmidt, Jeremiah Sirles, Elijah Herbal, and Claus, the infamous Clauseborne on the horn. Ole Miss, Bama, I think Lane is going to get spanked. He put up 48 against his mentor. And we'll rapid fire this. We'll hold over Nebraska Northwestern for the next segment. But I think there's more points. I think Bama rises to the occasion. They're being doubted. Saban loves that. And give me Bama 45-31. Barely, if you get the 14.5 number, the cover for Lane. But I like Bama here to do 2 touchdowns. Elijah.
I think Matt Corral's going to win the Heisman this year. I'm really high on this Ole Miss team. He's an incredible quarterback. Jeremiah's giving me that look of being unsure. I think Corral wins the Heisman. And I think that this is his Manziel-esque game beating Bama. So I got Ole Miss winning outright 38-34 over Bama.
No, Alabama wins this game running away 42-14.
Claus, what do you got here?
Pick.
I didn't know the drugs in Lincoln were that good, Elijah. Anyhow.
Y'all will see on Monday.
I need to get you a mentor. Anyhow.
Wow.
Anyway, I think Ole Miss is highly overrated. They went from nothing to 12. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how you expect a school that struggles to spell Mississippi to suddenly be good at something. Bama wins this one huge, 38, and Ole Miss 14.
Claus, hang on the line. Nebraska Northwestern pick is next. The forecast continues.
Miss us?
Come here, brother. Give me a hug. Bring it in for the real thing.
We're on call for you. Catch the podcast at hailvarsity.com, the ESPN Lincoln app, or download them on iTunes.
Saddle up, partner.
Back to Hail Varsity Radio.
One final time here at the Single Barrel, Hail Varsity Radio, presented by the Nebraska Lottery. Chris Schmidt, Jeremiah Sirles, Elijah Herbal, and the infamous Clauseborne. He wears red. He is imaginary, and he's all about teaching. Let's bring in the music. Are you ready for Nebraska Northwestern?
Let's do it.
Okay, we are back for the forecast we ran over. Now it is Nebraska Northwestern time. I will start. I said it'll be a 4-quarter game, or it'll be a ball game going into the 4th quarter. I made a stake in a beer bet with you, Sirles, and you, Elijah. That said, I think it's a good old-fashioned 4th quarter domination by Nebraska, and they're able to take a 1-score game and win and cover with ease. You're rolling your eyes at me.
Bad take.
28-10 Nebraska.
Okay. But do you think they score that many points in the 4th quarter?
I think they get a turnover to get 1 score, and then I think they put a second drive together.
All right, I'll take that.
Okay, so Nebraska 28-10 to win and cover.
Sirles, if your problem with Chris was thinking that they're going to score that many points in the 4th quarter, you're going to hate my pick. Because this game, to me, screams that Minnesota game at home from, I think, 3 years ago. We had Stanley Morgan going over the top at the end, where it was close in the 4th quarter, and then Nebraska put a couple of touchdown drives together at the end. I think like a 51-38 win or something like that. I see similar things happening. Lower scoring, they'll go going into the fourth. They got Nebraska up about 24-14 going into the fourth quarter. And I think they end up winning this one 38-14. So a win in to cover for the Huskers.
Okay, 38-14. Sirles, what do you have?
They're not going to score more than 10. I see us getting this as a get-right game for us. I see this being a 45-10 win.
Okay.
And it's never in doubt.
Sirles says a big-time beatdown. Claus, what do you got here, bud? Nebraska Northwestern, the line is -12.
Well, a couple things really quick. I heard the weather forecast coming out of the break. It seems a little chilly here in Lincoln. I think 1 more degree would be nice. Second of all, I really want to tell Jeremiah, you're doing a fantastic job as a broadcaster. And just remember that I discovered you here on Hail Varsity Radio and just chipped me off about 10%.
Deal.
Wow.
But this Northwestern team has given us some headaches. They really should be fairly easy to beat, and yet they haven't been. Of course, we did bust their union with little more than sending Grandpa Simpson out there to tell pointless stories about getting a new heel for his boot on the ferry to Shelbyville, which, by the way, make sure to keep your eyes open for the new 255 onion to tie to your belt. That will be the style at the time. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, Nebraska Northwestern. I am ashamed to say I picked the same score as Elijah, but given what we learned about his proclivities in the last segment, I'll change it up a bit. And I'll say Nebraska wins this one 35 and the Wildcats 17.
There he is. Claus says 35-17, go Big Red. Claus, enjoy your weekend. Stay safe, okay?
Okay.
There he goes. The infamous Clauseborne. He's imaginary. He wears red.
I would like to note that I nailed the score last week. I picked 23-20 Michigan State, and all y'all coming in here saying,
so it's your
you
fault.
don't know.
It's your fault.
Again.
I'm going to whoop your ass next time I see you.
Full metal jacket beating. Sirles, appreciate you, brother.
Anytime, man.
Appreciate you. Elijah, good stuff. Weekend edition, special time tomorrow, 3 to 5 here at the Single Barrel. Then Real Red Reaction from the Single Barrel follows. Talk to you tomorrow with Hail Varsity and ESPN.
Go Big Red.